Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Friday, September 22nd, 2017, and you're tuned in to episode 336 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story of the day starts us off in the Golden State, where the California Bureau of Cannabis Control just announced that they would be handing out temporary operating licenses to marijuana companies while the agency and the state at large works out the final set of initial regulations under which regular cannabis business will be conducted. Lori Ajax, chief of the Cannabis Bureau, laid out the details of the plans during a keynote address she gave this week at an industry conference held in Anaheim. It's probably a good idea to open up Leafly's story for the full read on this one, but in short, the temporary licensing system will require applicants to submit fairly basic information about their operating plans and should be open for submission sometime in December. We'll report back on this one as it develops. The Michigan Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs announced yesterday that licensed medical marijuana businesses under their new regulatory scheme set to roll out next year will be free to co-locate with other marijuana licensees, meaning cultivators, processors, and dispensaries will be able to all share the same roof, though regulations will require them to have and maintain separate entrances. Michigan is currently engaged in a terribly conceived plan to shutter existing medical marijuana dispensaries ahead of the new licensing system being deployed in the first quarter of next year and has set the date for those dispensaries to shut down to December 15th, the same day the state will start accepting applications for all types of medical marijuana facility licenses. Our final top story of the day is the reported sales figures from the first month or so of Hawaii's legal medical marijuana program, with a total of 57 pounds of cannabis having been sold as of September 19th. That total generated more than $426,000 in sales, with the average price per gram having landed just north of $16. As of August, the state had more than 18,600 registered medical marijuana patients, up 615 patients over the month before. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, MJ Today Media. Thanks. All right, time for the blitz. Earlier this week, Denise Rohan, National Commander of the American Legion, wrote a letter to Veterans Affairs Secretary Dr. David Shulkin asking him to personally get involved in helping an academic study into the use of medical marijuana to treat PTSD among military veterans get access to the patients it needs to complete. I've talked about this study before, headed up by noted researcher Dr. Sue Sisley, who is conducting her work out of Phoenix, Arizona, but who's been having trouble getting access to enough military veteran patients to fill her protocols. In the letter sent earlier this week to the head of the VA system, American Legion Commander Rohan wrote, quote, "Without the direct involvement of the VA, this important research is in jeopardy of not recruiting enough patients to complete the trial," unquote. The website Narcity has a good piece up, pulling together maps and pricing data for the nation of Canada, showing regional differences in medical marijuana pricing, with the spread between patients in British Columbia, who pay an average of $7.70 per gram, all the way up to dispensaries in the territories, who are selling their medical cannabis for closer to $14 a gram. Proposed legislation up here in my home state of Maine would allow for adult-use marijuana shops to sell through drive-in windows and via online transactions when adult-use sales becomes legal sometime next year. None of the rules and regulations for Maine are finalized yet, though, so we'll see if this idea survives the approval process, which will involve a final vote by the full state legislature after the drafting committee working on the rules and regulations finishes their work. Licensed Canadian medical marijuana giant Canopy Growth Corporation just announced a new joint venture in Denmark to provide medical marijuana to Danish patients as that country starts allowing for medical cannabis sales at the beginning of next year. The new joint venture will be called Spectrum Denmark and is a partnership with domestic company Danish Cannabis APS. Johnny Green over at Weed News published an urgent plea for contributions to be made to the efforts in Michigan to put an adult use legalization ballot measure before voters in the fall. While apparently the campaign to regulate marijuana like alcohol has done a good job so far in collecting 75% of the signatures needed, apparently they haven't had as much success keeping their fundraising operations ahead of their spending, as right now they say they need to raise $200,000 this week in order to stave off suspending the campaign. If you want to kick in and help Michigan throw off the shackles of marijuana prohibition, swing over to Weed News to find a link to where you can donate. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com and on our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily. Keeping our sights set in Michigan for another headline, we have news that Northern Michigan University in Marquette will offer, starting this fall, an undergraduate degree program in medicinal plant chemistry. And by that, I mean marijuana, making it the first U.S. school to roll out an entire undergrad program for cannabis. The school said they have 12 students already enrolled in the program, but expect to double or triple that number in the following year, judging from the positive feedback they've gotten about the plan. And finally for today, we have a good piece published in the New York Daily News by former U.S. Senator Alphonse D'Amato, who, over the course of his career, transitioned from a prohibitionist drug warrior to a passionate and paid lobbyist for the cannabis industry, specifically the Marijuana Policy Project. In his piece, Senator D'Amato talked about the benefits of medical marijuana as being one of the main drivers behind his work with MPP. This is a good story to open up and dive into fully. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again Monday morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor MJ Today Media and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.